The Nets are down 0-2 to the 76ers in their series after losing 96-84 in Philly Monday night. So, I got Erik Slater, who's the Nets beat reporter for the ClutchPoints app, on the line right now to recap Game 2. Erik, first and foremost, thanks for joining us. But if you were to tell me, or someone was to tell me that the Nets would hold Embiid and Harden in check, but not walk out of Philly with a W, I'd call them a liar to their face. How'd they let that game get away?
Yeah, I think Jacque Vaughn would agree with you. And, to put it in simple terms, shot making. The Nets shot 30 of 80 from the field, 13 of 42 from three. And if you were to tell Jacque Vaughn pregame that Embiid and Harden were combined for 28 points on 9 of 24 shooting, odds are he'd be feeling really good about his team's chances. And not only did the Nets do that, but they forced Philly into 19 turnovers. They committed just 9 of their own. And Vaughn said it postgame, Brooklyn was able to get open shots off those opportunities. They just weren't able to convert. And, that's a tough pill to swallow on a night where Philly's top 2 players were very quiet.
So let's go even deeper on their offensive struggles, mainly against that zone. They only scored 14 points in the third quarter. Is it safe to say it's time for Nets fans to hit the panic button on Brooklyn's ability to score?
I'd say it's fair to say they don't have the offense to threaten this caliber of opponent in a playoff series. The Nets' whole offensive philosophy with this new look roster has been doing it collectively. Mikal Bridges had a monster first half in Game 1. Philly went all out on blitzing him in the second half of that game. They did some of that in Game 2, like you said, also mixed in some zone. And Bridges had 7 assists, although he did struggle shooting. But those complementary pieces outside of Cam Johnson, who was incredible yesterday, set a career playoff high in the first half alone. But the complementary pieces aside those two guys were not able to make shots. Spencer Dinwiddie, Nick Claxton, Dorian Finney-Smith, Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris, Seth Curry. Those were the other Nets who played. They were a combined 13 of 46 last night. That's 28%. And the main guy there that has been a problem is Spencer Dinwiddie. He was 5 of 14 last night with only 6 assists. They're going to need a lot more from him.
Well, let's keep talking about Spencer Dinwiddie because, you mentioned some of those stats. And one thing that popped out to me was he was one of 3 players to play 41 minutes, but he only put up 12 points on the night. The other 2 guys had 21 and 28, as you mentioned. So if you're Coach Vaughn, how do you get more production out of Spencer Dinwiddie?
Yeah, it's nothing Jacque Vaughn is going to do. Spencer Dinwiddie just has to get his confidence back. He's not playing a confident brand of basketball right now. And there's multiple factors there. First, Dinwiddie's a guy who's always been at his best when his driving ability is setting up his three-point shot. The problem there is that three-point shot has been open. He just doesn't look like he wants to take it. He's 2 of 8 from 3 through the 2 losses. Philly was giving him that shot in the second half in their zone and man looks last night, and he wouldn't take it. They're also playing a lot of drop coverage in the pick and roll, and so they're opening up the mid-range for Dinwiddie. Spencer's a 41% mid-range shooter this season. That's not his area of strength. That ranks in the 33rd percentile among NBA point guards. So if you don't want to shoot the 3 and you're not good in the mid-range, all that's left is attacking the rim. Who's waiting down there in that drop coverage? Joel Embiid. So there isn't a single area on the floor where Dinwiddie looks confident right now. And if that doesn't change, it's hard to envision the Nets winning a game in this series.
Well, that's funny that you say that because a must-win Game 3 is at the Barclays Center on Thursday. What adjustments do you see Coach Vaughn making to get a much-needed win in this series?
Yeah, it's tough to say because there aren't many cards left for Vaughn to play. At the end of the day, it's a make or miss league. That's the phrase that we heard Kevin Durant say throughout his time in Brooklyn. And the Nets simply are missing too many open shots right now. Something I'd like to see them do is try to get out and push the pace and attack the basket a little bit more in transition. Like I said, Joel Embiid is down there waiting around the rim for the majority of the game. When is he not? On the fast break. The Nets love to turn those opportunities into threes, but I'd like to see them get out and look to take it to the basket. But pushing the pace was a big emphasis last game, yet Philadelphia won the fast break points battle 13-6. Nets were taking a lot of threes there and missing a lot. I'd also like to see them tighten up some of their defensive rotations. Tyrese Maxey was the game-high leading scorer with 33 yesterday. He was getting open 3 after open 3 in the second half. The reason being the Nets were selling out on doubles of Joel Embiid above the foul line. They need to time those doubles a little better when Embiid is closer to the rim. And on those doubles, there's a few plays where they're closing out hard to PJ Tucker, and it's leading to wide open threes for Maxey. Someone's going to be open when you double Embiid. If you had to pick someone, or if the Nets had to pick someone, it would be PJ Tucker. So let him take it. You don't want a guy like Maxey taking those shots. And lastly, I think about giving Cam Thomas a look. The Nets can't make shots right now. They have a guy who became the youngest player in NBA history earlier this season to score 40-plus points in 3 straight games. They're probably worried about Thomas's ability to process some of those defensive rotations when they're doubling Embiid. But if that's the case, play him when Embiid's out of the game. Paul Reed is playing long stretches for Philly as the backup center. When he's in the game, play straight up man. Let Cam Thomas go in there and try to utilize his mid-range game against that drop coverage.
Man, I'll make sure I'm going to mention Jacque Vaughn on this, because the way you broke that down, we might see that game plan implemented for Game 3, man. Erik, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you having me on.